Hi, Commissioner
Because Lou
Archuleta.
gives her water, she has to drink it.
Hi, Commissioner Archuleta, how are you? Oh, boy, I was down on the mat. I thought you were gonna have to. I thought you were gonna have
She has to drink.
Don't record us yet. We're gonna wait to
Look
see.
at that.
On. So we're gonna start. I'm not gonna worry about.
Do we have anyone on? Is, Elizabeth, are you on? Elizabeth, are you here with us?
She's not.
You wanna text her real quick?
Yes, I'm on.
Justin, we're asking about our transcriber.
Cause she did tell me she was going to, be out.
Please leave your message for 505.
Yeah, it's being recorded, so she joins us a little bit later.
She can always do the minutes from the. So it's on YouTube and it's on Zoom? Thank you, and I wanna really shout out to Ms.
Are you
Ellen,
still
thank you.
filming?
No,
I'm
I,
where the web is.
no, I just don't want,
And on this one.
after the way I went through, it's like, I'm never taking my mask off, I don't even take it off in the shower. That's a joke, no, I just don't want it. Toby, look at the.
Okay, we're gonna start this.
There's dust in the bottom of the bowl.
Guys, we're gonna start
Okay,
6:03. What do I have here? 6:02. Okay.
let the record show.
Let the record show, I was calling this meeting to order. The Espanola Community Development Commission meeting today, Wednesday, March 8th. The time is 6:02 p.m. So I've called the meeting to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We are now going to go to item 3, which is our roll call for determination of quorum. Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Denise Benavides. Let the record show Ms. Benavides is not present.
Coming up?
No,
Oh,
she just connected now.
oh, she's, hi, Counselor.
Okay, we'll both skip her now.
Okay. Chair Joanne Salazar.
Present.
Commissioner Floyd Archuleta.
Present.
Commissioner Toby Hill.
Present.
Commissioner Justin Salazar Torres.
Present.
Thank you. And Commissioner Simbana, for the record, has submitted his resignation to the Honorable Mayor John Ramon Vigil, effective last week, I believe is what the mayor informed me.
Wow.
So,
I was kind of concerned about that because of the way things have gone, but okay, thank you for the update, and then let's call Denise.
there's Counselor Denise Benavides, are you with us?
I am, Ms. Lou. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, Madam Commissioner.
Yeah.
And then we have Mr. J.R. Trujillo. Let the record show that Mr. Trujillo is absent. Madam Chair, you do have a quorum to conduct business this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Let's move on then. This is going to be, I think, a fairly short meeting, but I think we have a lot to discuss. But in item 4, and you all had a chance to look at the agenda, I will ask them for a motion to approve the agenda.
So I
Thank you.
second.
Motion made by Commissioner Floyd Archuleta, seconded by Commissioner Toby Hill. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay, so item 5, the chair's update. Usually I write something down. It's been a crazy busy day, but let me see what I wanted to update you on. Espanola Day is Wednesday, February 15th. Is that the 15th, Wednesday? And I've been invited, I think I mentioned this last meeting, to be on the planning committee. So we met again today. Everything's pretty much set up. So the public is invited. We'll start at 8 o'clock and probably go on through maybe 3:30. Usually the days aren't that long. But we have a series of speakers. Of course, the governor is going to be our honorable speaker. And we have entertainment set up, and there'll be refreshments. And of course, usually when a county or a city or organization requests an event like this, they'll have an evening reception. But since we're so close to the end of the session, the committee decided that they're going to send the House floor and the Senate floor box dinners. So they will, a lot of the local representatives, senators, commissioners county commissioners have been invited. I'm encouraging people to go. It's, they'll be at the rotunda there in the lobby. I believe that Christine Bustos will be the master of ceremonies with the mayor. And we'll have lots of speakers and lots of updates from the city, as you go to the tables and booths. There'll be some nonprofits or associations that are associated, organizations that are associated with the city, like the Bond House Museum. We will have a table there, and there'll be other invitees. So you probably have all seen flyers going out on either Facebook, or I'm not sure if it was in the Rio Grande Sun today, but there's a lot of information out. I encourage people to go. Our average citizen, they should try to attend and be entertained and ask questions. So that's my update on the plan.
This is the 15th.
I believe the 15th, correct?
Yes, that's March the 15th.
Okay, and what time?
8 to 4.
8 to
3.
8 to 3?
The activities are going to start about 9:30.
Okay.
But we have to get in by 8, set up tables, we'll have coffee going, or the city will. I just do my other stuff. And so you can attend. There's always seating in the rotunda, so as the day proceeds, people are kind of in and out. We hope to get the governor there to speak to the crowd, hopefully around lunch. Sometimes she'll come down about 1 for some of the other events I've been to, but we do want her to be able to speak. And of course, all of the elected officials that have been invited will probably have a chance to speak. And the public can ask questions and be informed.
Madam Chair, just like to make a comment that the information that the mayor provided on I saw it on Facebook. I thought was very good there, inviting people and a brief history about the community, and I thought it was very motivating. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have a lot of definite information on this. I know that the regional group that's dealing with transportation, the North Pueblos regional group that's dealing with transportation, had another online meeting that I could not attend, but I'm going to try to get on the next one and find out more about what they're planning, because this regionalization group is planning a lot of transportation ideas that are going to affect Espanola, even into the corridor. So we may even want to ask someone to attend or have them on Zoom, but that's going to be critical to what this group is trying to achieve with community development. So those are my 2 updates at this point. So I'll go on to item 6, which is the commissioner's updates. Should we start? Let's start with the ones that are on Zoom. Justin, Commissioner Torres, Salazar Torres, do you have any update for us? Are you still with us? Okay, if not,
As your mute on.
okay,
I'm
how
sorry,
about,
who's that?
Commissioner Benavides? Okay, let's skip them and we'll go to the ones that are present, and then we'll go back to them. Who wants to go first? Commissioner.
Just have a brief update that I became aware of recently, and that has to do with the fact that Okewinga, I guess, and Senai have jointly started a business of doing warehousing or shipping, receiving for the laboratory. And
Which 2 are those again? I'm sorry. Sammy Fonso.
yeah, it's a
Satellite Defonso and
Okay, I'm sorry, just repeating it.
The company's called Pueblo Alliance. I know quite a bit about it.
So,
So-
so maybe you can.
I can give you the details there. So what has happened is Pueblo Alliance is working with the lab, and they wanted to start a distribution center. Essentially, it would be the catalogs that they used to order supplies. They would, instead of the lab managing those, they would hand those over to Pueblo Alliance. And where that's going to end up going, I believe, is they'll be managing items to and from the lab, but eventually they'll probably end up in the warehousing business, warehousing some of that stuff. The lab wants to get out of the warehousing business because the warehouse where it's located is, now it's a vulnerable spot. It's a very valuable spot to build office buildings. So the lab really wants to get out of that and try to give the business to the valley. And they're going to go to Pueblo Alliance for that.
Do you know the location? Yes.
I think they're working out of the, Wingate.
Yeah, they're trying to partner up with Poaca Pueblo as well, and maybe use the industrial park area that Poaca Pueblo has, to build a little complex there and then see how it grows.
Okay, thank
So,
you. Anything else?
No, it's just, I thought that we should bring that information since we have had conversations with the laboratory and between ourselves about possibly getting into that same.
Yeah, and actually, I would add to that saying the lab is still very interested in
Sure.
where, and I'll talk to
Yeah.
that in my comments.
Okay,
So-
all right, good.
So, but it's good that you're bringing that up.
And then the other thing is just to let you know that in terms of the MS, and maybe you can.
Who's the mayor? He's waiting for me.
Over here, because I guess this camera goes and catches everything here on your phone.
So the MSD broadband project is pretty much the go, but they're in the process of getting their engineering and all their work put together before it's actually to the point where they start streaming the.
That's fantastic.
They had to say about the broadband?
Yeah. So it's just taking longer than what we expected, but so maybe Mayor, you can got more information.
Yes. I recognize the mayor because he also is a trustee with the Hennis Board.
I actually, thank you, members of the Community Development Commission. I actually don't have that much information other than I've been signing the loan documents to the RUS, Rural Utility Services. I'm the secretary of the board, so I've been signing all the loan documents. I know that we processed the original loan in January. Now that we're in receipt of the loan, and that's the loan for the construction loan to start laying the fiber. And so then we're gonna start laying the fiber from the office in Hernandez. And it's gonna come, the west side of the city is gonna be the first site, and then it's gonna grow out throughout the valley after that. But it's gonna come from El Huacha and it's gonna come south into the west side first. We're hoping to get construction here throughout the west side by July.
It's great.
That's not bad.
Anxious to switch over,
Oh, yes.
anxious to switch over.
You have a good trustee if you live on this side of town. This is the pilot area. No, you know what? The college is here, the hospital's here, all our government entities, it only makes sense.
Yes.
downtown.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
It
the
does.
downtown.
And you have to,
Then it'll go to Santa Cruz.
and then you'll go to Fairview.
There you go.
Yeah, we got 2 internet.
So I don't have as much, I have a broadband committee meeting at the end of the month. And so I'm speaking here as a co-op trustee. We have a meeting at the end of the month. I'll get an update on what kind of direction.
That'd be great. That'd be answering a lot of questions. and-
Well, one of the things that stymies economic growth, even from like a call center coming into the valley, is the lack of broadband. We
Yeah.
need those things, the warehouse thing, that we're, it's not even just the actual physical structure that we need. We need the digital infrastructure there too. And so that's one of the things is we don't have that right now here in the valley with no access to broadband. So hopefully running that line again, beneficial. They're on Industrial Park. This will be the pilot area, so it's gonna be great. The broadband will come this area start.
And Commissioner Archuleta has mentioned that no more than a few
Yes,
times,
yes,
and that
yes.
Lanley wants to come, but is anxious to see, high-speed internet.
The infrastructure.
Yeah, the connectivity that's.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I'll go into, I'll do public comment.
But all the more reason for us to push ahead
Yeah.
and be ready when the opportunities come.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, and then, thank you, Commissioner. Okay, Commissioner.
Yeah, I had a few comments. I'll save those for the resolution, but essentially my update is, I see the resolution on the discussion.
Yes.
I also wanted to comment that I've been talking to some of my friends at Northern Mexico College. The president there is anxious to move out on several fronts, definitely the jobs front, and a couple other areas. I believe he might have a push into, working on scholarship programs. There's some suggestions that I've made to him about capitalizing on a collaboration with Lanel that I believe he is considering. So that, I think that's going well. I'm really impressed with what the president started to pull together. He's brought in his team. He's got them set up. I think he's about ready to do some type of reorganization where he can apply his team. But that's just more of a educated guess on my part. For me, I'm anxious to go work on something else. I saw an email from Lou about a few days ago to a week ago about funding opportunities, and so I'm anxious to go work on something else. So I'm not sure if you want to do anything with the Rio Ford lot or anything
That's a
else,
good
but
idea.
I would like to go work on something else. So that's it for my update.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I'm gonna go back to the ones that are joining us by Zoom. If Commissioner Torres is still with us, do you have an update?
I am, and I do not. Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice to see you all via Zoom, but I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Benavides, any update?
Thank you, Chair. No updates from me at this time. I know I'm on the agenda a little bit later on, so
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sticking with us. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay, we now have going to item 7, which is the public comments, and I think our honorable mayor has indicated he wants to have some more discussion, and we can allow a little bit of extension on the 3-minute rule.
I don't have much. You guys have a
Thank you.
lengthy agenda. Thank you, members of the commission. Thank you, commissioners, Chairwoman Salazar. I'm excited to be here with you this evening. Forgive me for lack of timeliness. I wanted to announce that Commissioner Sabana did submit his resignation. I do want you all to consider who you might consider possibly replacing him. If you want to suggest a replacement, please bring back to my office and I will review them and see if they have a resume and they're interested in serving on this board. I'm really thankful for you that are serving on this board. We're coming up on almost a year of this board's activity. One of the things is I really commend Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker for the last 7 months has been wearing 2 hats here at the city. I talked to the manager. They're in interviews to have a finalist for planning director soon. So Ms. Baker soon will be returning back to her community development department in her sole capacity doing that. So I think it'll allow her to free up her schedule and be able to really drive the community economic development plans that we have. The county just hired an economic development director, which many of you know is Ms. Christine Tini Bustos. She's actually on the city planning commission. So I think that we have a good working relationship with her already. Lou and Tini know each other very well. I think everyone in this room knows Tini. So I think that the county and the city can really work together on some economic development projects. There's things that need to get followed through, like the retail coach, where we've been very successful there. But Lou needs to be able to get back into that full strong And so hopefully in the coming weeks, when the new director is hired, we can return to that, as well as working with you all for your mission and vision for this entity. Things like the real Hunter Ford property, Commissioner Beal, that's another property that has been cited by the retail coach for development opportunities. And so we need to sit down here and we need to come up with plans and policies and procedures of what we want to do with that. One of the things is the city, we are very fortunate, and thank you, Commissioner Archuleta, during your time as a counselor. The city had a lot of foresight to buy property at reasonable prices and has held on to a lot of these properties, at least here on the west side, that are opportunities for economic development down the road. So one of the things I like for this commission and the Community Development Office is to really see how we can best utilize these properties and going forward and creating a vision. Maybe we might be able to leverage them for development opportunities and bring those recommendations to the council. So I'm really thankful for all the hard work that you put into our community. Thank you again. You have a lengthy agenda, but I want to thank Commissioner Simbana for his service to our board for the last year. Thank you.
It's been. This is public comments, but
Yes, no, it's okay. It's okay. So thank you again.
thank you, Mayor.
So
Thank you for
if
joining.
I could
This is
ask-
public comment, we
I
cannot.
can't say
No.
that.
He's welcome, I was
Okay.
just gonna say, Mayor, you're welcome to stay, and maybe during discussion, we can bring up some other issues. Okay, thank you, Mayor. With having said that, then let's go ahead and go on to discussion. And as you can understand and see, I put the final resolution because when we originally passed it, we said, let's run it by President Valderas. And he added a change, so we have to bring it back to the council. And then I also noticed, I looked at, compared the two, and I noticed that there were two additions that were made that were sent to Mr. President Valderas, but I just want to come back and say, because we're in open meetings, an Open Meetings Act, we have to bring everything back. So I highlighted the areas where we have added new language. If you go down to the 7, whereas, I think this was added by Commissioner Hill, whereas Lamb was interested in engaging with surrounding communities, reference community development plan, and Lamb understands the compelling motivation for mutual invested collaboration with surrounding communities on both economic and academic fronts. And then there's another, skip the other whereas about the city and go to whereas there's an initiative by Hennis Mountain Electric Co-op to bring high-speed internet into downtown Espanola, and the results of this effort will bring high-speed internet capability to businesses that require the service. This initiative is expected to be expanded further into the Espanola Valley in the coming years. I think that was added, and my only question there is, have you referenced with Hennis to be sure that this language is okay?
Yes, so, and there was one other
And then
clause.
yeah, let me just.
And let me, I'll, once you, and I'll
Okay,
answer
yes,
any questions.
yeah, so my next comment to the commission is that the clause that President Valderas put in is on the second page on the very top. And this is where you put, whereas NMC is in need of investment in infrastructure for repairs, compliance, and meet the demands of multi-digital platforms, online classroom, and post-COVID academic environment, and expected demands of LAMO programs. So he added that. And then I just want to go to section 4 of the resolution piece, that on section 4, it should read the city. And it doesn't say that, it says, it just starts with discuss. So it should read the city shall discuss the potential partnership. Okay, I just saw that, it was in the original one too, we didn't catch that. So having said that, I just wanted to, I'll give you the floor, Commissioner.
Yeah,
because this is
if
your
I
resolution.
could, so it was, as I recall, I put in three whereases or modified. The first one, where Lionel is interested in engaging, that suggestion came to me by Brian DeAndrea, who works for TextSource and has a strong interface to Lionel.
But that was in new language.
He gave that,
Yeah.
that is new language that he suggested I
But was
insert.
it after we passed after we voted on it? Because I compared it, and maybe I missed that.
It was new, it was.
I compared it on the last one. let's see, where did
It might have been modified.
Where is it again?
It's that, the seventh one down, that, the first one that you talked about.
Whereas the city is in, okay. before
Whereas land was interested in
Yeah,
engaging. with
that's
some-
newly added,
Yes,
yes,
So I put that one in at Brian DeAndrea's
that's
request,
fine.
or suggestion. He said it would be good to show that the city recognizes what Lanel is trying to do.
Right, and the only thing, I'm bringing this to everybody's attention because we have to relook at it again and vote on it.
Yes, yes.
And then the other.
And then
whereas-
the Hamas Electric one, that's what I'm calling the Floyd Archuleta clause.
Or the mayor.
Well,
Trustee
and I'm
Bell
kind of
calls.
teasing Floyd here. I'm teasing Floyd here a bit, but essentially, we wanted to try to grab a little bit more attention to what we're doing with, what Amos was doing with broadband. And I thought, since I'm modifying the resolution, let me just throw that one.
Yeah, since
in
it's gonna
there.
get modified with
Yeah.
the president's comments, so you're fine with that, as working with broadband? Or did you get approval from Hemis, or you just?
It got, it received, this has received approval from Hector Balderas.
No, I meant the Hemis, whereas.
This whole resolution has received,
But
have-
this is
and I did not.
We haven't brought it before the board.
Yeah, it has to be, because you're saying something about Hemis. Hector's is fine, because he wrote it, but because you're saying something about Hemis, I just want to make sure Hemis is aware of this is in there.
I have not
and he's
taken it
happy
to
with it.
Amos, I'm not taking it to Amos.
Okay,
And I haven't either, and in fact, by looking at it now, when it says that Hemis is bringing internet into downtown Espanola, it's not bringing it into downtown Espanola, it's bringing it to the entire
Service territory.
property, but no.
well, I think you have two options, I think. If it's that critical to this document, then I think you still need to run it by somebody at Hemis. If it's not, then just, as we look at approving it, we just delete that and keep the one that Lana was involved in, but that's gonna be your options for voting.
I'm okay if we want to go back to the other version that does not mention Amos. But like
Yeah,
I
I would
said,
just delete
the
that.
reason why I put it in there is Commissioner Archuleta has stated at a couple of meetings, can we beef that up a bit? So
And I
so I
think-
took
Well,
a
you
stab at it.
represent the broadband in Hemis, so you tell us what you
No,
want.
the intent was to emphasize the need for internet and broadband in the communities. So we didn't necessarily mention Hemis, but
I'm okay with the previous clause that does not mention Amos, or I'm okay with striking out.
Because we want to take
Amos.
this to the city council fairly soon.
Yeah,
and if we
I'd really
wait,
rather try to push this through than go through another
Okay.
round of.
I just want to caution us as we do these things, we need to.
I
talk to all the
understand,
parties
forgive me
involved.
for my overstepping there. I'm learning a lot here, so.
the other one mentions internet or broadband. But that doesn't necessarily say anything about Hemis, right?
Is there
It does
another one?
not,
So maybe
It does
that
not.
would be okay.
But which is, I'm looking at the one that's presented to us today to. vote on.
yeah, the previous one, this was a modified version of the previous one, which just
Did the
mentioned.
previous one have something? I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, it had, the previous one had a mention of initiative to install, broadband in the valley.
I
So
don't see it.
it looks like I got myself kind of trapped, trying to expand that clause, versus leaving it as is, so.
I don't see anything on Hemis or the original one.
It's on the third one up.
On the old one?
On the old one, I can't remember, I don't have a copy of the old one. It's not there? No, the other one has a mention at the end of one of the sentences about high-speed internet. Because you had said, can we beef that up? Can we beef that up? And so that's where I thought I could maybe beef it
Well, I'm
up.
comparing what we presented and I'm not.
You have the old one?
Yeah, of course.
Let me take a look at it.
I have to go back to all my notes. That's the original one. We have workforce development on it.
Oh, maybe that got taken out.
Okay, so we.
Okay, so we could strike that clause there. I'm okay with striking that.
Okay,
Well, it seems, I would hate to make a commitment for him. and
that's right, that's right.
I'm okay with striking that.
So why don't we just,
I'm
I think
okay with
so.
striking that.
Okay, thank you.
And then the third clause, the one on the top of the second page,
The one-
that was put in
Yes.
for President Balderas
Yes.
at his request,
Yes.
and he reviewed and approved it along with the rest of the resolution.
Okay, wonderful. And then just in section 4, before it goes, we'll vote on it, but the change has to be, we'll vote on it, I think it's an
Okay,
action.
yeah, and I'm good with that clause.
Okay,
The
so-
city shall, I'm good.
Yeah, we have to put the city shall, and then we're gonna, I think when we make a motion, we get to action, and then we can make the motion with these changes.
Okay,
So I'm
okay,
gonna,
right.
okay, so we're done with that.
If I could add to the discussion
Sure,
here,
yes,
because
please.
this is kind of a bit of a Lionel thing that
Okay,
I've seen, so don't mean to throw shade or offend anyone here, but I saw the letters to the Rio Grande Sun last week about reapportioning tax dollars, from what Lionel pays and
Oh,
such.
yes.
And I just
memorial,
wanted to
what is it?
offer a comment on that. So I remember this happened about 20 years ago, a similar proposal by someone else, another representative or senator, I can't remember who did it. And Lionel's reaction was really, they're paying tax dollars. The dollars are going somewhere else, they're not seeing them. So Lionel really doesn't care too much about it, because those dollars are going out. I do know for a fact that Lionel submits a proposal to the state to get rebates to not avoid getting double taxed, because they get taxed on the dollars that come in, and they end up with a double tax, and they apply for a refund from the state every year. I was part of a little bit of those calculations way back when, so. And I thought the effort was noble, well-intentioned, but to be honest, I thought it was a little misdirected, because Lionel's mission is not appropriately allocating dollars to communities. The other part of it that's really weird is, I'm not sure how the surrounding communities to WIP or Sandia National Lab would react to a proposal like that. And I'm not sure how the counties, Bernalillo County or Eddy County would react to that as well, where someone's trying to reapportion tax dollars by some other method as opposed to where the purchases occurred. So the other thing that I wanted to comment on is there's a bit of a mention in there that somehow Lionel does not support the communities other than paying salaries and such. I know for a fact there's at least 3 modest businesses in the city of Espanola that would not be running without Lionel contracts, at least 3. So I want to kind of defend Lionel on that front. But as I said, Lionel's mission is national nuclear security, number 1. Number 2, it's really a broad-based R&D support efforts for the nation.
when you say R&D.
Yeah, research and development. So Lionel does quite a bit of work on that front, everything from energy to, green fuels to nanotech. I mean, you pick a direction, there's some expert with a PhD working on that effort. So I wanted to emphasize Lionel's focus and where the opportunity is really along those lines that Brian DeAndrea mentioned last week, which is really office space, warehouse, laid-out space. There's still a lot of opportunity in the warehouse space option. So that said, I will say Lionel, for every person that has a good idea to try to get something done and collaborate with the community, there's a number of folks that are fact checking and cross checking and seeing if it's, and a lot of times things get crossed up and those outreaches get tied up and they don't get realized. But I don't think it's any kind of bias or animosity or something like that. It's just, they get caught up in their own red tape many times. So there's a bit of a, like I said, I saw that and I saw the letters and my reaction really was something along the lines of what is Lionel going to think about it, other than they don't care about the dollars, but they're probably going to say we need to work more closely because the communities don't understand our mission and what we need well enough. So I wanted to emphasize that. But like I said, I don't want to throw shade on anybody. That was a noble, well-intentioned effort, but it's a little bit misdirected. And there's a lot of money and opportunity.
Somebody has a question.
There's a lot of money and opportunity with the lab
Okay.
there. So.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I think it was a memorial, not a bill. I'm not sure it's gotten much traction, but I believe one of our commissioners wants to make a comment. Councilor Salazar-Torres, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this goes in, the letter to the editor obviously was me. However, I do encourage you all to review the memorial and look at the verbiage of the memorial, because it wasn't towards Lionel. I'm an employee of Lionel. I wouldn't attack Lionel personally. It was Los Alamos County. But again, I encourage you all to educate yourself on the memorial itself, and then therefore go from there. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the moment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I did review it, and one of my first thoughts, and I'm just going to throw this out there, we can move on, was what can be done maybe at the federal level when the monies for defense go into these contracts? Is there something that can be emphasized there? Because once the county gets it, I mean, legally they have their responsibilities and how they spend the money. But if there's something that maybe could go into the defense contracts, that's just was my initial thought. And I know the memorial was a study, so it wasn't going to do anything but study it. So there were some interesting ideas there that maybe can be discussed, I think, in a more open kind of forum.
Yeah. And
maybe looking at the federal money before it even gets to Lateral. Like, what do you do with these defense monies? Okay. This. Okay, so I just said that, and I'm going to recognize Commissioner Benavides. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to just add a little bit to that. A couple of weeks ago, I did have a conversation with Lionel's Economic Development Division in that, we need to be really careful of Lionel taking every single employee from the Valley. Granted, they do pay better, and granted, they are housed here, but it's really taking a toll on our local businesses in that our businesses are short-staffed everywhere. So I do think that it is a collaboration, and continued talks need to happen. I have a meeting next week with the Director of Infrastructure and Policy. We're going to talk housing for Santa Fe County in particular, but I will raise a question about Espanola as well. We're looking to partner with Lionel on their needs for housing for their employees and how we can further assist down that path. So I do think, there are kind of two sides, but, us working together with them, I think, is what really needs to happen, because we need to make sure that that the city also has the staffing that it needs and the educated staff that it needs. So when we go down the path of putting together programs, I think that, we need to talk about programs for our community as well, not just to serve Lionel, because we have a lot of needs in our community and we don't have the properly educated staff in a lot of areas, right? So I think that we need to make sure that we cover all the bases. And for me, of course, the city is my priority. So that's my comment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to recognize for discussion purposes our mayor.
I'm really happy we're talking a little bit about the workforce. Actually, I was Senate Finance Committee on Monday testified with City of Santa Fe, Mexico State Police. And fortunately, it did pass on a 9-2 vote. Return to work legislation for PRA employees. That's going to be for state, county, city employees to return back to work for up to 3 years after the sunset date, if they've been out a year. And that's for all positions. That's across the board from clerical, public safety, public works, all the way up to administrative, just because the state recognizes the need for employees right now. And so essentially, employees will be able to continue to receive their retirement and then go back into the workforce and work and now
Up to
to
3
see
years.
up to 3 years.
Good.
Up to 3 years if you've been out a year.
Yeah.
And just for the state to get back on its workforce plan, they might extend it. I think it was supposed to get heard by the Senate today. It looked like it had the votes. It was going to go to the House. It's getting a lot of support from the governor. The governor reached out to me to ask for our support. And so I've been going to every single hearing for that aspect. And the governor has been grateful and supportive of our efforts because we've done that. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to help us for our workforce development here in the Valley. I mentioned clearly at Senate Finance Committee that sometimes we say it's a blessing to be close to Los Alamos and Santa Fe, and I say, no, it's not, it's a curse.
Why was that?
They take all of our staff.
Oh.
We're a training ground essentially for every single employee.
I would agree with that
We have
statement.
No
I would agree with that
ability to be
statement.
competitive to Santa
You
Fe.
get poached.
Yeah.
quite-
And even
quite
the
a bit.
state.
No,
Yeah.
I completely agree. Now, if I could,
Yes.
if I could add
And then
here,
we
so Lateral has the ability to infuse a lot of money into the valley, but it has to be along what Lateral needs. And they need staff, they need office space, they need warehouse space, they need construction and laid out space, they need workers. And what I've seen and heard from the rumblings at Northern New Mexico College is they are very, very keen to start working on proposals, because a proposal to Lateral for a couple $1 million won't even get anybody's attention. But a couple $1 million dropped into Northern New Mexico College even for a couple of years is huge, so these are the things that can kind of build up and provide a base for which Northern to operate. But yeah, I completely agree that workers get poached, but it essentially provides an opportunity for more workers, so.
I'd like to see it.
Well, but that's the opportunity, and you gotta, so, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to recognize Commissioner Archuleta, and then we're gonna move on to the next item.
Just real quick, just a thought, and I agree with the councilor's recommendation that we need to really study that memorial and see what. I haven't had that opportunity yet, but I can remember back, still in the city council, we were several elected officials from Santa Fe County, Los Alamos, Espanola, all the various governing bodies in the area would get together every year, because at that time Los Alamos was not paying gross receipts tax. And so rather than, for whatever reason, the lab had lobbied us to support that they would continue not having to pay those taxes. And so we would go to the legislature and speak on behalf of the lab to support that. And we wanted that funding to remain with the lab's mission and save them that money that they would have to pay for gross receipts taxes. And they didn't, that really helped for the longest time. But eventually it got to the point where they were spending, having to pay so. But then it's like the way it is now, the taxes go to the state, then the state makes the distribution to Los Alamos County, because that's where the purchases took place in terms of what the lab does. And so I think it's justified that we would like to see some of that money here because it's needed. But that's where it's at right now.
Well, since we're, yes,
Councilor Benavides, raise your hand.
yes, Commissioner, I'm gonna recognize Commissioner Benavides. I know she's on the agenda. We're gonna get to you in a minute, but if there are comments related to the discussion, Commissioner, go ahead. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. So just an additional comment, one of the other things that was a topic of discussion with the economic development team from Llano was that they continue to hire and hire and hire employees, right, that are not from the area, and they continue to lose them. So they're not making progress because the biggest thing, of course, is there's no place to house them, right? And so it's one of the biggest concerns that they brought forth, right? And so I understand that, right? And so definitely, you know, the conversation took the little turn that, well, but if you continue to take employees from the valley, it's very difficult for us to progress, whether economically or otherwise, right? So we did have that discussion as well, that, you know, they're struggling to retain those employees that they're hiring that are not local. So I think it's a big advantage for us that we really need to jump on.
Yes, and I would like to see, I know you're gonna report on housing, but so even some of the private developments, are gonna probably, you know, eventually come to the valley. But having said that, any other comments, Commissioner, because I have to recognize Commissioner Behill one more time on this topic.
Yeah.
Is there any other comment, Commissioner Benavides?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I could validate Commissioner Benavides' comments, the turnover for people brought from outside the state to the lab and then leaving is real high. I would roughly guess it at 50 to 60, even 70%. Where you get somebody, they come in, they get trained, they get a Q clearance, and then they go back to their home state for a job that pays the same amount, but their living expenses are half.
Yeah.
So I constantly see that. So, and the lab knows they hire somebody from the valley, they got a lifetime employee. The turnover from people from the valley is extremely low. So that ripples through the housing, exactly what Commissioner Benavides is saying. So I just wanted to validate the comment that she's making. Very, very important, and Llano knows this.
Yeah. Housing, and back in the working with the health care industry and trying to bring in through the federal grant programs and under my bureau the medical professionals. They always looked at housing, schools, and community. And if they didn't like what they saw, they would stay a year and they'd be gone back to another hospital or another clinic. So I mean, it all applies to just trying to have the community where we've got those things to offer. So I think this discussion around some of the Llano, the ideas around not only Llano, but the memorial also did stress Los Alamos County need to be examined, and maybe this is the group that can kind of take that, since it's for economic.
Yeah, my apologies for putting this in a bit of an
I'm actually
uproar,
glad you brought it
but I
up.
wanted to get some of these thoughts out, and I don't think I'm really going against anybody here, but it's something I just want to try to add my version of clarity into the equation, because Llano is a very strong economic force in northern New Mexico, and I believe right now, we probably have the best opportunity that the Espanola Valley has ever seen to tap into that. Llano has more money than they can spend on the hill, and they're really looking for a partner or partners to help them with their mission. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so if there isn't any more comment or discussion on that, we're going to go ahead and go to item B.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just, for the record, Madam Chair, I just, because you're making amendments to the resolution that's going to come back on the agenda for a motion. Please state that please note there is a typo It is not resolution number 2023-005. It is 2023-05. There's one too many zeros.
Okay, but I don't have that number on C. I just have a motion to accept amendment.
This one, it's on the top of this resolution here. The one
Oh,
that-
okay, you're talking about, okay, so we would have to, whoever makes the motion with changes would have to correct that,
The number,
the number, okay? Thank you. And you'll help us as
Yes.
somebody makes that
because
motion.
I'm making all the changes on mine that are gonna, the motion needs to.
I have it, I didn't
Okay.
get it on highlighting.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'll give that to you at the end of the meeting,
Okay.
but before the vote. Thank you though for bringing
You're
that to our attention. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go on to item B, and I'm gonna give the floor to Commissioner Benavides.
Thank you, Chair. I'll go back just a little ways to the meeting that Commissioner Zambrano and myself had with Santa Fe Civic Housing. They did include HUD in that particular email and set of correspondence, and HUD supplied several documents that I forwarded to the city to be housed there. The conversation was a really good one. The Santa Fe Civic, the agreement that we have with them is really old, so it needs to get redone, and there needs to be a new agreement put into place. The other piece of the conversation we had was that at any time that the city would be willing and able to take over those facilities, we certainly could assume ownership of them. Of course, we're in no position currently to do that, right? The other piece of the conversation that was had was that they continue to utilize those units for individuals from Santa Fe County, and we would like to see that changed so the individuals from the Valley have first chance at some of those units. They are completely full currently. In working together with the Santa Clara apartment clients, there was no opportunity to house anyone there. We got lucky towards the end and we were able to house one individual there due to a vacancy. So that conversation was had with them. They did show and express interest in looking at the Santa Clara apartments. They were here last week. I was up there with them. They did not want to look at the inside of the facility, thankfully, but they did not like the location, unfortunately. So they did ask for me to set up a meeting with Lupe Garcia and the Atencios to go forward to see if they could strike a partnership with them to put another housing facility, which would be more workforce type housing. What they wanted to do, and I kind of disagreed with them, was to move all of the individuals from the Pajarito low-income housing to the new housing and revamp and remodel the Pajarito housing to allow for workforce housing to target some of the individuals from Los Alamos. I mean, that I'm not sure about that, but I think we could have further conversation on that. It could work if they have the funding to fully remodel them. I have seen a facility that they have in Santa Fe in the Plaza. That's one of their public housing facilities, and I was shocked that it was. It's a southwestern type facility, and it's beautiful. So, maybe if they did something like that, it could work. I don't know how Lano would feel about that. The agreement needs to get revamped. So that is one thing that we need to work on. And as far as housing in the Valley, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to bring housing to the Valley. I know that we had signed a contract, I thought, sometime back. I don't know if that's still in place or not, to get some housing done in the form of townhouses in the spring. There's been little conversation of that with council. In talking housing, I mean, there's so much opportunity, right? One of the things that Lano was shocked about in speaking to them is that when I sent them the matrix of the income qualification for Santa Fe County, they were shocked that the income to get somebody into an affordable was as high as it is. Of course, we're talking Santa Fe County. So what happened, and the reason they came back to me, is because they realized that they could actually target a huge population of their employees and actually get them into a brand new affordable home in Santa Fe, right? That's something I would love to see done in Espanola. You know, the income limits here are lower, of course, but I still think that it's workable. And I still think that, you know, we could target some of Lanol's individuals. In the short conversations I've had with them thus far, the meeting next week will definitely be more of a what the needs are, what can be provided. They're looking for several things. They want housing solely targeted to their employees. We're looking at several options, either donation of land. We've already talked to several developers that would be willing to work with them, you know, funding on their end and additional funding as well. So several conversations being had there, and I think we could do the same thing here in the Valley at maybe a little smaller scale, right? So as far as any other housing information, I think for our area, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a question. I got a little off track on when you started talking about Lanol Economic Development and then Santa Fe County.
Mhm.
So are your conversations particular to both areas, Santa Fe and Espanola?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and the economic development group with Lanol, that is separate from like the Santa Fe Housing Trust and all the groups that you were originally looking into?
They are. So Santa Fe Civic is strictly public housing.
Okay.
And they do mainly everything in the form of a tax credit, right? So they want to do another 4% tax credit versus a 9% in our area. They're very interested in doing that and looking for property to be able to do that in. So definitely there's that interest, right? The one and only McCurdy Public Housing Facility that is owned by Santa Fe County, and they are in process of remodeling that facility. So when I talk to Lanol, it's mainly on behalf of what I do for the county of Santa Fe, but I always bring in Espanola, right? And what can we do there, right? With anytime that I have a meeting with any entity, not just Lanol. And so I think there's opportunity, you know, for us to work together and partner with them here in the Valley as well. And I would definitely like to see that done. We also need to move forward with the resolution to establish a housing trust fund so that we can start going after, there's so much funding out there that we need to target so that we can start supplementing that fund. And the other thing is, you know, it's a really good time. Several of the mortgage companies that I currently work with have now started utilizing MFA's $25,000 down payment assistance program. It's a grant. It doesn't have to be paid back. So we started now being able to get affordable clients into homes because of that funding. You know, there's opportunity for us here in Espanola to start some sort of housing because, you know, now we can offer that. And I'm also working with two entities now to target affordable housing first mortgages. And those would apply to Espanola as well. And what those would do is they would have a lower interest rate than the current market rate so that we could get clients into homes. And so, you know, there's a lot, I think, that is happening, a lot that we can get done. I think we just need to decide, you know, how quickly we want to move housing forward. And, you know, that's a conversation to be had with mayor and city manager so we can move forward with, you know, getting some projects in here.
Yeah, that would be important, if I may, Commissioner, to involve the city manager. I have a question about the Twilight Homes kind of conversation that happened a few months ago. And, you know, this commission really got started in June. So we haven't been quite a year up, or July. So that was comments around what was going on with Twilight Homes back then. Is there any other discussion that you're aware of with the city with regard to the Twilight Homes that were a possibility?
I have no update unless Miss Lou has some sort of an update for us.
Have an update on that for us, just because we're talking about housing? If you may.
Oh, do you want me to talk about it now?
No, just give us a quick update on the Twilight Homes, because we're talking about housing.
Okay.
In general.
Thank you, Councilor Benavides. I know that you've been working really hard with the Santa Clara Apartments. I met with city manager Jordan Yatsi. I meet with him every day actually, and he has asked me to provide him some documents so that they can move forward with that piece of land that is, it's a parcel right behind the bond house. The old swimming pool used to be sited on that piece of property. It's about 1.9 acres. And as soon as I provide him with these documents that he's asked me for, they're gonna move forward with Twilight Homes to build some townhouses there. I don't know the details. I will get all of those details for you. This is the first full week that I've been back, so I'm really just trying to attend as many meetings and get as much information as I can out of the city manager, and he's directed me to look into that immediately. That's priority for him.
Okay, so
So-
there's
so that's-
some movement on that.
Yes,
That's my
Twilight
question.
Homes is, the city's moving forward on those 2 acres behind the bond house.
Behind or next to?
Initially it was gonna be next to.
So now it's behind?
Now it's gonna be
That's even
behind.
better.
Yes, the 1.9 acres.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I think as far as the plaza goes, if I may, Ms. Baker, having it kind of separate from what can happen in the plaza next to the bond house, I think that needs to be more around Main Street kind of objectives. So I'm glad to hear that's gonna go behind. I wasn't sure it was gonna be an extended stay or what it was gonna be, but housing there would be, that's a good area there.
Mhm.
So thank you.
Is-
Okay, so
if
any
I could
questions
add-
on housing?
Yeah,
Yes,
is there,
I recognize Commissioner
Sorry.
Bill for the record, because
Yeah.
that minutes.
is, Lou, is there any kind of range of the houses? Are these houses targeted at the Los Alamos market or? Because there's a major demand coming out of Los Alamos for housing, a major demand.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Beal, yes, they're gonna be market rate townhomes. And the reason that we're going with townhomes is for density.
Yeah.
So we can get more homes in there. They're very, very nice. Murphy Hill and I visited Twilight Homes sometime last fall. And
In Albuquerque?
in Albuquerque, and the townhomes that we visited were very nice.
Okay,
Yeah, something,
Oh, that's
that's
fantastic.
good to
Yeah.
know. That's gonna bring a lot of traffic in, and that'll start helping with what we like to accomplish.
Well,
with
and then you
downtown area,
establish
yeah.
a successful townhome development, then you're gonna have other ones that are gonna pop up as
And then
well.
that community, that neighborhood will start improving too,
Yeah.
because people will start buying in. Maybe some of these older homes, fixing them up, et cetera, so that's
Wow.
wonderful news.
Wow, that's really good news.
Thank you, and so we're still on Commissioner Benavides's update. So
Yeah.
are there any questions related to, you did mention that you would still like to have the resolution for the housing authority. So is that something that you will draft and bring to the commission as a commissioner?
Not for the housing authority, because I think we're years away from creating a housing authority, but for a housing trust fund.
Okay,
that-
housing trust fund, okay.
Yes, for the housing trust fund, because that would allow us to come up with recurring revenue sources, which I believe we can, and also to go after home funds from MFA and other resources of funding, state funds that are out there that we can utilize for development, for acquisition, for several things. So I think it's important for us to have that fund established. And I think the other thing that we definitely need to do is, and I know it's being worked on, is the subdivision ordinance. I did look at the minor that was out there, and I think it's still being worked on, which I'm happy that it is, because there was just about everything missing in there. So hopefully we'll see that coming our way soon. And I think it's important, and I would love to bring the team from Twilight to one of our meetings so that the commissioners can meet them. They're a wonderful group of individuals. The owners are absolutely amazing individuals. And anytime you want a tour, let me know. I can definitely set that up. And this way, I think as we promote housing, and not just housing, with housing comes the economic development piece, right? And of course, the other thing that I hope that we can push is from some of that opioid funding. I think we really need to target the drug issues. I know Chief is hiring a lieutenant, but I think we need a task force maybe for, 2-3 years, something like that, because that's another huge part of cleanup for us to promote
Yes.
economic development.
Yes, and all that information has been provided. So it's up to individual groups or the city, the county, private nonprofits, whoever wants to really kind of move with that money because it's there. And my understanding, there's more coming in with another lawsuit. And so we kind of dropped it. I mean, I kind of said, well, here it is, guys, the meeting I did with, that you attended, with then AG Petra Valderas, he had asked me to set up that meeting. So I think that, we move forward with some of those ideas, don't forget about that money. And I think we need to keep bringing it up to the entities that are allowed to go in and, like the city and the county, see if they're gonna be doing anything with what can help clean up the city, like Commissioner's saying, and bring the right services in that are gonna be effective. So anything else on the housing? So if you do the resolution, that's something that you will work on, and if you need our help or any of the subcommittee, because I know now that we've lost Commissioner Silvana, if there's anybody else, I'd be happy to join you on that.
Okay,
To try to draft something up, resolution for the housing trust fund.
that sounds good. And I think we had seen a draft that needed to just a
Yes.
few updates, and we can definitely revamp that, and I can bring it back forward to the commission. And we can
Okay, I'll
definitely,
look for it.
yeah, we can get that in place. That's important for us to get in place.
Okay, so I'll help you with that and you can put me on that subcommittee. We're waiting for some things to happen for Main Street before I can move on some of the ideas that we're working on. So anything else on housing? I know that Commissioner Beal has a few questions. Anything else on housing, Commissioner Benavides or Commissioner Torres?
That's it for me.
I'm okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair.
Good luck you're there. I'm only looking at the agenda. I can't see
Yeah, we
anybody's
don't
faces.
see any faces.
No, I'm
Okay,
here.
so-
I'm here. You don't want to see this face.
Oh, come on. So, okay, so Commissioner Benavides, anything else? Otherwise, I'm gonna give the floor to Commissioner Hill.
No, I'm good. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner.
So I just wanted to add, on housing, I know just enough to be dangerous, so I don't wanna, there's far more educated and smart people on housing here than, but if there's any proposals that need to be made or some work that needs to do formatting stuff or whatever, I'm available to help. I'm looking for my next project.
Yeah, yes, we want to move things along.
Yeah.
That's one of our discussions about how we can get.
We'll take you up on some grant writing.
I'll be happy to try to help.
Thank you so much. Okay, so anything else on those items? If not, I'm gonna go to item C, which is our report from our Community Development Director, Ms. Lou Baker. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
Commissioner, too. Thank you, Commissioner.
Honorable members of the commission, thank you very much. I would like to extend a very special thank you to Mayor, the Honorable Mayor John Ramon Mejia for his attendance tonight. I know he's very busy and I appreciate him taking the time. Initially, when this commission was created, this is his baby. He is really interested in economic development. So that's why he spends as much time with this commission as possible. And all the resources that we need are made available. I would like to thank Vince. Mr. Baldonado has been just a delight to work with. I want to thank him and Ms. Emma for helping with the technical support that we need tonight. I would like to really thank Commissioner Simbana for the time that he gave us. Like Mayor Beal stated, if you know of anyone who is interested in economic development, just reach out to me or to the mayor directly and encourage that individual to submit their resume or their letter of interest. And that way we can have a full commission. I would like to also thank Matthew and Armando. They are the code compliance officers for the department. They have been working really, really hard. Santa Clara Apartments is a gift that just keeps giving and giving and giving. And we just cannot get away from that piece of property. We're there constantly. Individuals breach the building, we secure the building, they breach the building. They got to the point where they just cut the locks off with bolt cutters. They're at the point where they're removing copper wiring, they're removing refrigerators, they're removing water heaters. Just anything that is not nailed down is out in the field or out in the back area. It's just a constant battle with the Santa
What's
Clara
the
Apartments.
status, if I may, sorry to interrupt, what is the status with?
That is
what's gonna happen
something
to the
that is,
building?
Madam Chair, the USDA is mum. We cannot get them to respond. And obviously, Mr. Bosley has never responded to the city. And so, with the conversation that I had with the city manager today, he's completely frustrated.
Can you condemn the building?
It's condemned, the building is condemned.
Okay.
But at this point, I placed a lien on the property probably about a month ago for what the city has spent on that property so far. The lien is $160,000. Since then, some additional resources have been expended on that property. So I need to amend that lien to reflect what taxpayers have paid. This is a nuisance property with a capital N.
Now,
It's,
if I may, I understand that we've had this discussion about condemned buildings. Because
Yes.
there's one up north, up here on Mill Street,
Yes.
Fifth Street. So my understanding that the owners have 2 years, even though it's condemned, to either upgrade, sell, do something, and you have to wait 2 years to knock it down. Is that gonna happen with Santa Clara?
yes. See, because the point with the USDA, Madam Chair, is they have this confidentiality. And so they can't share with us if they've even started the foreclosure process. Is it gonna go into a short sale? We're out here in this gray area. We really don't know what's going on, but in the meantime, the Santa Clara Apartments is our responsibility, and the USDA, in my opinion, because it is their collateral, because they have a loan on this, they've extended a loan for this piece of property. I'm of the opinion that they should pay for security, do what they need to do and step up to the plate with this building. Building is
What security measures are there that you
Madam
continue
Chair,
to?
Councilman Benavides.
Okay.
raise hand.
Okay, let me just ask this question, then I'll recognize. I lost my train of thought. What security have you put in place there?
the building is completely secure. The building, both floors, first floor, second floor, are boarded from inside and outside. They have used one-way bolts, 3-inch one-way bolts. There's no way you can ever take them out. They were reaching the building by going in through the air conditioning units. Those air conditioning units have been removed, and that opening has been secured both inside and outside again.
And how about the perimeter of the building?
There's no fence around the perimeter.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, no, there's no fence. Initially, when this thing started to unfold, right before Thanksgiving Eve, the city does not have the police force. We don't have the manpower in the police department to provide security out there or have them kind of keep an eye on the place. So the city reached out to a private security company, and they provided security from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 2 armed guards, and the bill, I believe, for 1 week was close to $50,000.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you. I'm gonna recognize Commissioner Benavides. She's has raised her hand, I guess. Commissioner?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to add a little bit to what Lou said. City manager reached out to me today and he sent me some pictures. He was out there. I think Lou was probably there with them, and I was just shocked, and he was frustrated. And so I did provide him 2 USDA contacts that are the national contacts that we need to speak to. I do believe that we need to have some serious conversations with USDA. I did tell city manager that I'm happy to schedule another meeting to bring them back to Espanola and to just lay down the law. I mean, I did find out, I did tell city manager that USDA is in litigation with the owner on both facilities, the Santa Clara Apartments and the one in El Llano. So depending on if they foreclose on both, and the one in El Llano, they're going after him because he has not in 5 years or something like that done any improvements or followed any of what he was supposed to have followed as far as what USDA deemed necessary to bring that building into compliance. However, USDA did one inspection in those 5 years, so they hold a huge amount of responsibility and liability. And I don't think the city needs to continue to use our funding and our resources. I think that it definitely needs to go back to USDA. I think that we, the city, need to have a meeting and demand that they pay what we've already put in and you know, go forward with them. They were fairly agreeable when we brought them to the table the last time. And I think that if we bring up again, you know, the fact that they hold the liability, being the program funder and not, you know, doing those inspections and holding that owner accountable, I think we can make some progress with them. So city manager was going to reach out to them today. I don't know, Lou, if he did or if he heard back. I don't know if you know, but I did tell him that I was happy to reach out and set up another meeting.
Okay, thank you. I have a question, and I hope that both commissioners are still on. And that was, is there anything that, any ordinance, city ordinance that could be adopted that could help with this situation? And, you know, that kind of supersedes local control, you know, local control has, that supersedes all this red tape that you went through with HUD. That's something that could be done. Am I speaking way over what I think could happen? But it seems like there could be some faster ways to address it if there was an ordinance or some other statutory thing that we could come up with.
I would think that there would be. The problem with USDA is that, well, for one, the workout individual, Miriam, is no longer with the company. I let Jordan know that today, Lou. I'm sure he mentioned it too, but they're all over the place. So the state of New Mexico no longer has oversight. They gave it to somebody in another state, but USDA's, what they call their workout team, is located in many states. So, you know, it's difficult to get a hold of anybody in many cases. So I think it's better for us to bring the individuals back to town and sit them back around the table and let's see what we can get figured out, because it's going to get worse, I think. And I know Lou, city manager, they're spending a lot of time at that facility. Our PD, there's resources that we currently don't have that, you know, are being utilized there. And I think that, you know, at some point, maybe we produce a bill and give it to USDA. I mean, we've got to do something.
Because, thank you, Commissioner, because I think that, yeah, maybe there is something, and even asking, I'm happy to know that the city manager is now involved more and maybe has direct access to calling those people, but it could be something that we could even entail the help of our federal delegation in terms of any kind of statute, either at the federal level or the local level ordinance. The city, the governing body has authority over. So I'm just kind of throwing that as an idea. But I'm going to go ahead and recognize Commissioner Behill, so stay with us and see what.
I just have a question, really kind of more for Lou. Can you put a fence around it, a really robust fence, and put that on the bill? Because it's really protecting the property. I think it's a legitimate cost to put a robust fence, you know, not just, you know, so something that's really will keep people from getting in there, you know.
Coil, you know.
Yeah, concertina wire, the whole 9 yards, you know, just a question.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question.
Okay, so Commissioners that are on Zoom, both Dustin and Denise, do you have any other comments on this, on her report? If otherwise, we're gonna go to the next item for,
Oh, I'm not done.
I know you're not,
Oh.
and we're gonna go to the next item that we have to talk about. Okay, so then go ahead, proceed.
Okay, so I just wanted to also just bring you back real quick to the Santa Clara Apartments. Matthew worked very closely with John Francisco with solid waste. He worked very closely with Marco Ramiro with our communities services out of the Honorable Judge Joe Madrid's office. And he worked with the Adult Probation Office. And so we were able to get a lot of clients that need to do community service. And so Matthew spent the entire day on February the 10th. They cleaned up the entire street of Calle Chamizal from the entrance to the Fairview Elementary School, around the corner of Darren's Place, all the way to the Santa Clara Apartments. And they collected close to 3 tons of trash.
Wow.
And that was because I had been receiving a lot of phone calls from the neighbors in that neighborhood that said this trash is out of hand. And so they collected. I want to really thank the Adult Probation Office for helping us. The Adult Probation Office will also be helping us on this coming Friday. The fire department, streets, the police department, the code enforcement, code compliance officers, Matthew and Armando. They're going to be out here on Calle de Hill, right behind the ISD office, the Income Support Division. There's a homeless camp in there that is huge. And so they're going to, staff was directed to go out on Monday, and they place signs on everything. They stapled signs to the trees, they taped signs to tents. There wasn't a place that did not have a sign on it letting these folks know that this homeless campsite is going to be removed on Friday. And so they're gonna show up on Friday to clean that area. And that's also gonna be using clients from the Adult Probation Office. So I wanna thank them for letting us have access to these clients and these individuals. Like I said, I'm just gonna recap real quick about Santa Clara Apartments. It's just the gift that just keeps giving and giving and giving, and hopefully we can find a resolution to this. I would like to concur what Madam Chair said initially at the beginning. Espanola Day is March the 15th. Please be there, support. We have to show support for the city of Espanola. City Hall will be closed. The planning department will be closed. The library will be closed. The Lucero Center will be closed. I think the senior center will be closed. I'm not quite sure. I know that the fire department will not be closed and the police department will not be closed. But we have been directed by the city manager that we all have to show up as city employees to support Espanola Day at the legislature. And so Ms. Bustos, and I know Madam Chair and the other members of the committee that have been working diligently on this, have spent a lot of time. They're gonna have swag bags for each one of the senators and each one of the representatives. There's 112 bags that they're gonna put together. They're gonna have tables out there of different nonprofits that we have in the community, just handing out their promotional material, what I like to call swag. So please try to go on the 15th, if nothing else, maybe around lunchtime, and we can go out and have lunch. I would like to also let you know, I've been working very closely with ULI, which is the Urban Land Institute, Mr. Todd Clark, and a group of licensed commercial realtors. And Councilor Benavides and I attended the housing summit last fall at the Hotel Albuquerque. And on April the 21st, the city of Espanola, in collaboration with Northern College, is going to be hosting a housing summit. I'm excited about that. From what I understand, what Mr. Clark has told me, there's gonna be about 250 people in attendance. When Councilor Benavides and I attended last fall in Albuquerque, it was a very good program. They had, it was eclectic in regards to financing, contractors, developers. It was all over the place, anything having to do with housing. So they're bringing it to Espanola so that we can talk about what is site specific. What do we need to jumpstart housing in our area? As the details unfold, I will be sending you an email. Please just save the date, April the 21st. Most likely it'll start like at 9 with a continental breakfast and coffee and tea, start at 8 with a continental breakfast and coffee and tea and stuff like that. And the workshops will probably start at 9 and it'll probably go until 2 or 3 or 4 in the afternoon. I don't have the agenda right now, but as soon as I get that, I will forward that to you.
Is there a registration fee?
That's a good question. I don't know. I will find out, okay? If there is a registration fee, I will take care of that fee for the commission. I'll run it through my budget and have Jordan approve that, so you don't need to pay for that registration fee, okay?
Where is it located?
At the college, at the event center.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, down, it doesn't hold that many people, but okay, yeah.
Okay, so, I think it's gonna be at the event center. There was some discussion about having it at the Nick Salazar Center for the Arts because of the auditorium and having everyone sit in the auditorium with the speakers. But I need to reach out to Todd, just to get some details, because I kind of, like I said, I've been out of the loop for almost 10 days. And trust me, folks, 10 days can set you back so far. I mean, I'm just like so far behind the 8 ball here, but just save the date, pencil in the 21st. I would really like for you to be there on the 21st.
And thank you for sending the information on it, we kind of all had it as a.
On April the 10th, sometime in the afternoon, Steve Stucker and the production team from KOB4 will be here in the afternoon in the plaza at the Mission Convento, and they're going to take what's called B-roll. So it's an opportunity for you to come to the plaza, meet Steve Stucker, congratulate him on his retirement and his many years promoting the beautiful Espanola Valley. The next morning, which is the 11th, Tuesday the 11th.
April 10th is
It's a Monday, so that's going to be sometime in the afternoon. As I work with the producer, I will get all of those details to you also. But just pencil Monday the 10th, maybe from 3 to 5, 3 to 6 at the Mission. Just come by, meet Steve Stucker, and get on the B-roll. And what they do is they're gonna slice it and dice it and put it on the morning show the next morning. Now, the next morning, you will be live from the Mission Convento from 5 to 7. And we will have food trucks in the plaza for people to buy burritos. AM.
Okay.
The Mission will be open at 4 AM. So you're welcome to come by at 4 AM.
Yeah, I know you said early bird.
Yeah, the early morning. And so Steve Stucker will broadcast live from the Mission. And what he's doing, it's called the Steve Stucker World Tour, the Steve Stucker Retirement World Tour. So initially, in the discussions that I had with KOB, he was going to be on the back end. We were going to be the very last show, and then he was going to drive off on a lowrider into the sunrise. But now we got flipped, and we're going to be the first one.
He's gonna drive.
And then he's going to drive out of the plaza in a lowrider into the sunrise. And then from there, they're gonna do other communities. And his last show is gonna be at the Balloon Museum in Albuquerque. So, on the 11th, like I stated, at 4 a.m., the Michon will be open. We'll have food trucks. They're gonna be, excuse me, they're gonna have burritos, coffee, donuts, whatever food trucks have in the morning. The chairs will be set up inside the Michon. It's gonna be a live broadcast. Please bring your pets. We want as many pets as we can. Daisy's gonna be the rock star, okay?
Yeah.
And so you gotta take Daisy.
I don't know
Get
if
her
I
on
can
here.
handle it.
Okay?
I don't know if I can handle it.
I would like to give a personal congratulations to my colleague that I will be working with, Ms. Tini Bustos. We will be doing economic development together. I think we're gonna accomplish a lot because her and I, first and foremost, have a great deal of respect for each other. And we both bring a lot of strengths to the table. She has hers, I have mine. And I think if we do a lot of collaborating between the county and the city, we can accomplish a lot in pursuing funding and just collaborating on projects. So I would just like to congratulate Ms. Bustos on her recent offer for that job position with the county. Blood drive. The city of Espanola is gonna start having a blood drive. The first blood drive we're gonna have is gonna be on March the 30th. The bloodmobile will be parked out front of the city hall. I will send you that link because you'll need to go online and register for the blood drive. And there's like a calendar for that day with different times. So you pick the time that is most convenient for you or when you're available. And then you just register with your name and email, stuff like that. You show up on the 30th and you can save someone's life. My son was very, 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 very ill last year in February. And I'm not much of a church going person and I'm not much of a praying person, but in my promise to the greater being, it was, you get my son through this and I will donate blood. So that's something that I do all the time because my son was saved as a result of blood being donated by somebody else. Today, Jordan brought our new planning director through the department. Her name is Rebecca Seawall. She formerly worked for Riva County. She is currently working on her master's degree. I don't know where she's studying, probably at UNM regional, at the UNM planning school. We didn't spend a lot of time together because we were just really, really busy this afternoon. But Jordan brought her in and introduced her to the team. So I want to welcome her on board. I don't know when her start date will be, but we'll get her trained and ramped up. And then once that happens, she'll be working with the planning commission. And then you'll have all of my attention and we're going to get some things done. We're going to come back. I'm going to be able to come back and do economic development and give you 100% of my time and my attention because it's just, it's been a challenge to do both jobs and not give 100% to either one. I would like to ask you all to think about it and get back to me before Friday noon. The New Mexico Municipal League offers commission training. And it is typically for planning and zoning commissioners, but I would like to offer this to you. Your registration will be paid and your room at the Marriott will be paid. You will arrive on May the 3rd. I believe registration starts at 12. Again, I will get all that information to you. And that afternoon, it's like meet and greet, maybe a couple of workshops. Then that night is an opportunity to reach out to other commissioners. And I believe there's a dinner, and then all day the 4th, there's all kinds of workshops, all kinds of training. And then at noon, then it convenes at noon on the 5th. And so if you're interested in going, let me know by Friday noon. This offer was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and all of the commissioners from the Planning and Zoning will be attending, except for one commissioner. So because the commission is going to be there, and if you all decide to go and we have a quorum, I need to know with enough time to have this posted that that's going to be a possible quorum, but that no business, no action will be discussed or taken. So that needs to be published. I think it's a great opportunity. The New Mexico Municipal League has refined their training after doing it for many, many years. I would like the record to show that Mr. Archuleta is one of our former presidents of the municipal league. I think the city of Espanola has had the most presidents at the helm of that leadership. So thank you for your service, Mr. Archuleta, Commissioner Archuleta, and what you've done with municipal league over the years. And you've always been there. You've never ceased being a part of that organization. So it would be nice if you would attend. I'm gonna wrap it up. I got just a couple more things. Lotaburger they had a couple of hiccups, and Lotaburger was in a holding pattern for almost 90 days. And so there was some activity at Lotaburger, and so we're looking at possibly a grand opening. If they're not really going to have. You'll see where they're kind of tearing up the parking lot, because it's going to be a drive-through. They're really focusing on a drive-through. They're going to have abbreviated hours for walk-in. They really don't want to have that kind of service anymore. So when you see that circle loop, we have to do some calculations. They will be able to get onto Bond Street or drive around and jump back on Paseo de Oñate and head south. But if they want to head north, they got to go to Bond Street and then come to the light and then make the left and head north. So there's been some discussion that I've been working with Lotaburger on that. I'm happy that they're coming back. I was a little concerned. There was some discussion that if they were not going to come back, that Dunkin' Donuts wanted to come into that piece of it's all about location, and it's a perfect location. But with Lotaburger coming back, we're gonna have to find another place for Dunkin' Donuts.
If I can
Yes,
ask a question, so it's gonna be drive-through with limited sit-down hours?
yes, with a very
So the question I have and more of a concern is, for me, development of the downtown area is walking around traffic. And another drive-through
yeah, I understand.
this is not conducive to walking around traffic. That spot's right next to the plaza. It pains me to see it, if it was more drive-through when it's really right across the street from the plaza. It's tempting people to come in and sit down and enjoy themselves and maybe go outside to eat under some umbrellas and stuff. So just a comment, but you know where I'm going with it.
Absolutely, and I agree with you 100%, Madam Chair, Commissioner Vigil. One of the things that I will reach out to Mr. Brown, he's the Vice President of Operations for Lotaburger, and I will reach out to him and find out if they have determined their schedule. Because I know they don't want to be open after dark. So perhaps it'll be open for sit down like during the day, but after dark it'll because we're gonna have some time change here soon. So it's gonna be, I guess, a schedule that once it gets dark in the winter time, like what is that, 4:30? Then So I'll reach out and I'll ask that question. I agree with you 100%. Maybe I can even discuss with him that if there's an event in the plaza, like the fiestas,
Arts
the
Festival.
Arts Festival, anytime we have a major event downtown, perhaps they can stay open. They can open earlier or stay open later or something like that. So, Mr. Brown is very amenable to that. But I'm just excited that they're gonna open up because we're gonna have jobs, we're gonna have grocery receipt stacks. We've lost a lot of grocery receipt stacks since they've been closed.
They might consider having a walk-up window and then the drive-up window on the other side.
I need to reach out to him, like I said, I just got back in, so let me see if I can, and I'll share them with you, it'll be public record.
Yeah.
Let me get a set of plans, and then I'll forward them to you, and you can review the plans and what they intend to do, okay?
Yeah, I think pedestrian traffic is extremely important to the
Yes.
development of the downtown.
Because that's what makes everybody safe. If they see other people walking, their pets, their kids.
It chases out the panhandlers, it chases out the homeless camps, it cleans out a lot of stuff. Pedestrian traffic is quite good for that, and everybody wins because you get a little bit more business. More business gets attracted, so.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to recognize Commissioner.
Just real quick for my likes. I always enjoyed the Lotta Burger on the other side, the old Lotta Burger that we used to have, that kind of a setup. And in fact, in Santa Fe at the entrance, in Santa
It's a
Fe.
walk-up. Yeah, it's a walk-up.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
walk-up, but-
And I think where you're going with this is there's the walk up, but there's a little spot in the back
Yeah.
over the side to just sit down and eat, where you can eat in your car or,
So
but,
that would
yeah.
make a lot of sense to me too.
Yeah.
What was the opening date did you mention?
I don't have an exact date. I'm gonna be honest with you, from the conversations I've had, I'm looking at maybe about 45 days out.
Wow.
And that was as of Monday of this week, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I have,
Quickly, because we have an item 4 that I'd like to really share time on discussion because we've been very frustrated here
okay,
with the commission.
the city of Espanola was a sponsor at the New Mexico, was a sponsor at the Santa Fe Film Festival. That was held on February the 17th through the 26th. We sponsored the lanyards. So everyone that came in that registered and got their credentials, producers, directors, actors, crew members, marketing individuals, everybody that got their credentials had a lanyard that said the city of Espanola on it. I was there the very first day and I was handing out my card, letting everybody know that we're open for business. And please bring your film production to the city of Espanola. And so I would like to shout out to Miss Nani Rivera. She is the chair of the Santa Fe Film Festival. And Nani was a pleasure to work with. Thank you, Nani, for inviting. I have Planning and Zoning Commission tomorrow night. There's one item on the agenda and it is a very controversial case. It is an application for a special use permit. The applicant is GM Pipe and Emulsion, and it is for a special use permit to conduct sand and gravel activity at the land grant, at the Bartolomé Sanchez land grant up here north of town on 84 to 85. The neighborhood has made it clear that they are in opposition. That Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will not be held in this chamber tomorrow. It will be held in the city council chamber because of the amount of people that have expressed interest to attend and be a part of the record. And then last but not least, I'm going to go to Philadelphia on March the 31st to April the 5th. I will be attending the APA conference, which is the American Planning Association conference. I need to attend that just to see what best practices are, what other communities are doing. But I also need my CEUs for my AICP. I'm a certified planner. And so when you attend conferences, you fill out a form and you get, I need, I think, 38 credits or something for my AICP, so that's gonna help. And by that time, we should probably have the new planning director on board. And with that, Madam Chair, I'm sorry, it was long-winded, but I just had a lot to share with you. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go on, very good information update. I'll have more of that specifically in the agenda, so I know how long we're gonna be in the meeting.
Okay.
Item C, promotion of ECDC work and purpose. I put that on the agenda to have some discussion because I kind of listened to the words from the person that gave us public input at our meeting where we had some very important people here. And I know that we have a website that kind of got developed with Jeremy, and it was wonderful, but we haven't really added anything to it. So a couple of questions regarding how we can make that website a little bit more detailed, or let's see if people look at it. All had a chance to look at it because it's up there. See if there's any things you want to suggest, or maybe actually it's, maybe we want to do a little bit more, maybe we're fine. But I think the most important thing is how we need to work with the city and the purpose of our work. Yes. Okay, let me make my statement, then I'll recognize him. So I think that, I know that there's an ordinance or there's a guidance in the city ordinances about planning and zoning, and we have not created such a document for ourselves. Okay, so maybe that's something we need to think about for the future.
A charter.
A chart, yeah, kind of like, there is something in the ordinance for planning and zoning.
Okay.
And we're fairly new, but we've been kind of operating by, this is what we think we should do, and I think we need to be a little bit more formal. And we need to get ways that anything that comes up to discussion with the city, I feel like we're always behind, or we're not being informed. And I think we need to have some kind of loop there that is going to let us know we're not spinning our wheels, or we're not going in the different direction that maybe the city governing body wants to go, or the city officials and departments want to go. And so we need to kind of find a way to formalize that. So I'm just going to open up with that statement, and I'm going to recognize Commissioner Salazar Torres.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's going to sound kind of funny, but there's a song that says that, here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. And I do have to kind of advocate, as an elected official, we are elected obviously to certain districts, which is District 4, which is also your district, Madam Chair. But also in the sense of, I all night and even during city council meetings, etc. I may be just complaining, but I hear nothing only but, progress for the West Side, the plaza, always the West Side, etc. But I just hope the commissioners and everybody that are part of this committee and counselors and everybody know that we represent actually the whole city. And I know that there's a lot of economic development going on the east side of the city, with a lot of business growth, etc. But we do need to see some things going on the east side of things in our districts as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Also, Councilor Benavides.
Thank you. I'll recognize Commissioner Benavides.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to add a little bit to that. I think that one of the things we do need to focus on is the main drive through Espanola, which is Riverside Drive. I do agree that we need to further develop the plaza area. I think it's so underutilized, and we could bring so much tourism into our valley if we played our cards correctly. And some of the complaints I've gotten recently is about, number one, all the cannabis stores opening, and secondly, the murals, right? There are some absolutely gorgeous murals, but people are kind of questioning how many are we going to allow, who's allowing them, is it the owner, yada yada. So that's kind of a comment on Riverside, but I do think that a lot of the focus should be on the side of town that all the tourism drives right through, right? So if there was something on the main drag, maybe they'd stay, right? I agree completely with Councilor Torres that, we need to focus on the entire city. I mean, I know for me, I've had 2 meetings thus far recently with my district, and I plan to have another one here shortly to address some of the issues and concerns and things that they want to see on, of course, our side of town. Lighting's a big issue, right? So I think that's something that we definitely need to address, is we need to get HEMIS working on some lighting, not just broadband. I think it's important to halt some of the criminal activity that we currently see, right? And so I think we do need to focus on the entire community.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Councilor Salazar Torres.
okay. I recognize Councilor Salazar Torres.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, thank you for bearing with me and indulging me. But I did actually have an update. Last night, we had Public Works Committee meeting, and just a little bit of insight for District 4. And I guess this goes on for District, what would that be, 2? The whole Fairview injunction project. One of the good things is in District 4, we have a lot of folk, and I'm sure it's around the city, but this project is pertaining to District that'd be 2, 4, and a little bit of 3 in the sense of they're going to be putting in a whole new sidewalk, etc. And I did fight last night to get sidewalk implemented from McCurdy all the way up to the high school on the north side of Fairview. A lot of folks do tend to run, bike ride. This will bring a lot of people here to the valley in the sense of wanting to rent and know that we're a little bit homey friendly in the sense. So we're working on things in Public Works to do all that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so any comments from the commission? My comment originally was, how do we promote our work and know our purpose? Because I'm going to state that I feel that sometimes we're not appraised of projects, particularly with what we're trying to imagine, Daisy. And how do we, I guess, formalize ourselves a little bit more? So I appreciate the comments. Yes, we should be looking at the whole entire city, the city slate, as you say. We want to make sure that we're in sync with some of these planning efforts. So Commissioner Vito.
Couple of, I don't know if it's a question or a comment or whatever, so excuse me if I stray, but I remember when we first formed, that's the first thing I started to think about. What's our purpose? What's our scope? And I remember pulling together some slides and
we did
that,
that,
just
yeah.
sent them to you for consideration. But the question that comes up that I think you're asking, if I could say it a little bit more point blank, it's what is our interface with the city council? What is I know the definition of the ECDC is review and develop ideas, economic ideas for the mayor.
And we have a mission statement too.
Yeah. So to me, it kind of goes back to that. I tend to be more of a top down on these types of things where we got our mission. What is the interface? Because the body that acts on this is city council. So I'm trying to figure out what is our interface. We got two excellent counselors on the commission.
Right.
Really appreciate that. But I'm still kind of back to that question. What is our interface? How does the city council see us? We kind of know what the mayor, how he sees us, but that's a question I have.
Well, it's a question I'd like to have answered.
Yeah. Well, I would.
I mean, I do and I don't.
I would propose that to city council.
Yeah. Well, I think also what's missing is like, when we talk about housing, we talk about film, and we talk about some of these other areas is like, I'm thinking of the regional economic groups that are out there. Nobody's coming to us and to say, okay, well, here's some ideas, or we're not inviting them, which, that's also equally, our fault too, or my fault as chair. How do we engage those organizations to know that we're kind of like a first stop or simultaneous stop with some of these other entities with city government so that we're in sync? So how do we create that kind of atmosphere?
Yeah, and actually, let me ask the question, it really, how does the city council want us to interface with them as well? It's just more of a.
Well, that's why I was thinking about
these questions,
this kind of guide that we put together, but does it need to be like in an ordinance fashion, like planning and zoning? you'll go to the city website and you'll find something that states what planning and zoning and jobs. So I think we need to.
These are
create-
good questions.
Yeah, we need to
These are
create
good
that kind
questions,
of,
yeah.
and you're working hand in glove with the city council and the mayor, of course, but that way we are a little bit more streamlined as to what our purpose is and who we should be talking to. I
Right.
feel like calling the regional development group, but are they already talking with the city manager and never mind you guys? I mean, it's just kind of like ideas that I think we need to.
And
know
to use
about.
another word, it'd be expectations.
Right.
What are the mutual expectations, more from the mayor and especially the city council to us?
Other than the think tank, because we
yeah.
can think all we want. so-
Yeah, so
Good
how
place.
does that work? So I think that's a great statement, and I'm just trying to turn it more into a question.
Yeah,
for
right,
the-
so we
for-
can
for
address it.
governing bodies.
Okay, well, maybe we
Madam
can,
Chair.
yes,
Councilor Benavides.
Benavides, I recognize Councilor Benavides.
Thank you, Chair. You know, that's an excellent point because I can tell you that very few people know that this commission exists and
Exactly.
that's being honest and they don't know even when the meetings are, because a lot of people aren't, you know, that savvy of going to check when they are, but I think if they're indicated on our website, that number one is a start. I don't think City Council has any idea of what this commission has in the works because there's no presentation to council as to what is happening with the commission, even on a monthly basis. All other departments, of course, are required to have a meeting and there's a chair for each department, right? But I think at some point it probably would be a good idea for the commission to report to council on some of the things that are being discussed and some of the things that are actually happening. Because I can tell you that some of the discussion here is, I don't want to say a lot better, but in a sense it is, versus what's being discussed on council, right? And I think a lot of what the commission does is what council should be focused on, right? And we may or may not be. And I definitely think our website needs to be revamped. I did talk to Chief Garcia about putting his stats on the website because we get the question all the time, where is the PD? We never see them. Well, you know, maybe the stats need to be up there, right? So that they can see them. And I think there's also some education that needs to be done for our community because in looking at those reports, if you look at the bulk of the calls the PD makes, they're all suspicious vehicle, suspicious person. I mean to tell you the bulk of the 1,300 calls last month were mainly for that reason. So I think we need to educate our community as well. And I totally agree with Councilor Torres that yes, sidewalks, biking, you know, things that the community can do, you know, is another good idea. Maybe we have a little our own little kind of page on the web page, the city's webpage, right? That talks about our mission, who we are, what we do, and then we could link it to the chamber as well, you know, kind of maybe start linking it.
We do have a website with our information. I think one of the things that we talked about, if I may, is maybe being on coffee break or being or maybe some other way of advertising or having the city management, if not the city councilors or the governing body, let some of these individuals that are looking at economic development also be aware of us so they can come to us if we need to interface that way. Because I feel like I don't want to be planning something that's contrary to what's already happening. Like I learned through some of the transportation webinars that I've gone on, that they're replanning, the state's planning a lot of this change, but they're not asking, it's kind of like it's a done deal, or maybe you can voice your opinion, but you know, I expected that there would be more of a bottoms up kind of place for us to say, this is what we'd like to see happen in the plaza or any part of the city. So I think I'm hearing that we need to find ways to publicize, get the word out. I can work with Ms. Lou on how we might be able to do that and see how we interface with the city and what the expectations are with the city governing body. That's kind of my thought right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to recognize.
Yeah,
Commissioner Hill.
if I could add to your statement, so I know the city council is very busy with lots of ad hoc and protesters and all kinds of craziness that Floyd probably knows all too well, you know, from his previous days. But I think we're available as a bit of a, I wouldn't say consulting, because I think that's too grandiose, but kind of a think tank or just
Yeah.
kind of a brainstorming kind of thing where we could go out and take a look at an idea from different perspectives. And then bring a discussion back to help the counselors while they're deciding stuff. I mean, but it comes back to that question again and again,
interface.
what's the interface? What's the expectation? So.
Right, because right now, if I may, we're gonna have the resolution that will be presented at some future city council meeting, and hopefully that will be adopted and signed, and, okay, but we need, there's lots of projects, there's lots of
I wanna go
ideas
work on
going
something else.
Yeah, we have lots to do, and I just offered Denise, Commissioner Benavides, my time for housing too, because that's an important piece.
And Madam Chair,
yes.
You know, I'm glad that you brought this on tonight. I think, you know, we're really a new organization, you know, and I think we're going through some growing pains. And I like what the counselors are telling us, and we definitely need to make sure, and I don't think we really address the need throughout the city as much as we should have.
And we should be doing.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of information that I don't think really comes to us. You know, like the retail coach and where they're at, you know, we had one meeting with them and that was good. But there's still more things that are going on out there, apparently, that we don't know
Engaged
about.
in, or be aware of.
Or more important, what should we engage in to
Right.
help?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and if there's meetings out there with people like the retail coaches or whatever, I think one of us, and I think that was the idea.
I've been going, but I haven't had an invitation for months, other than the update, the update that we had, that he cited, what is it, when you aren't ready to announce, but yet you're just speaking, so I really did feel that that was an update for us. It was just like, we're working on it and someone's interested, but I don't know, it's someone, the mayor mentioned that they've been doing well, so I don't know what businesses they're bringing in.
I think we have a purpose,
Yeah.
but we need to make sure that we enhance that.
We can start fleshing that out. I wanted to have this discussion and hear from the commission, the counselors that are on the commission. So I'm just gonna ask, do you think that we should just proceed and try to develop something else? We're gonna be taking not that we need a vote or anything, just an idea. That we're gonna be taking the resolution and we can talk about some of the stuff we've been doing until Commissioner Hill can present the resolution for adoption, et cetera. But maybe we should be saying we'll come back with some other fleshed out ideas around how we interface with you guys. And with organizations out there that don't even know they could be working with us.
Because we certainly don't want to overstep our boundaries.
No, we don't,
Right.
but I don't want to be working and with these really being moved forward from our ideas.
No, I would say we work for the mayor, but we also report to
With governing body.
the city council. You know,
Yes,
so-
definitely.
So,
Okay, so with that, Commissioner Salazar Torres or Commissioner Benavides, do you want to add anything and we'll close up and we'll go to the next item on some of the discussion about how we can talk about our work and purpose?
I'm good. I totally agree with you with retail coach. I think we need a push. We need to push a little bit, right? Because I agree with you. I've really seen little progress, honestly, for the pay that we've put out there. So, but other than that, I'm good.
Okay, Commissioner Salazar Torres? Okay, well then we will go ahead and move on. We'll get some of those ideas and bring it back up for discussion and kind of
good
formalize
idea,
something that we
good
can
idea,
do.
Joey.
Okay, I appreciate that. Let's go then to the action items, and I don't know where Lou went, but you all have the meeting minutes. So we're gonna review and approve the minutes of the January 18, 2023 meeting, which was exhibit B. We're moving on to action. Okay? Exhibit B, and I looked through them initially when I got this package and I didn't see anything that stood out, so I'll entertain a motion.
I will move to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 18th,
I will second.
and Commissioner Hill has seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Review and approval of the February 8th, 2023 meeting minutes, Exhibit C. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes as presented?
I motion.
to approve.
Okay, I'll have a motion by Commissioner Benavides and a second by Commissioner Behill.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
Aye.
Motion passes. And now, this is where we're gonna need a little bit of help on that numbering system. Item C, which is the motion to accept the amended, how we want to amend it. So I'm gonna rely on our initial person for this. Do you want my notes? We just need to get the number right.
I'm good with the number, just a 05 instead of a 005, as I understand.
Is that it?
from
Okay,
the
so the
rule.
motion will be 20.
So I'm good with that. And what I'm hearing is, and I'm doing a long-winded motion, so excuse me, what I'm hearing is the first bullet that was inserted, everyone's okay with. The second bullet, because it mentions Hamas, would require us going back to Hamas, and I'd rather not. So I'd rather strike out Hamas and maybe just by a private, a company, or how do you want us?
I would just strike it.
Strike the whole
Yeah,
thing
because then we're
out?
gonna have to go back.
Okay, I'm good with striking out that third from the bottom, strike that entire whereas statement. And then I'm okay with on section 4, put the city shall.
You have to accept the amendment or the addition of President Valdez.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped ahead. I'm sorry. Yes, and I recommend accepting the whereas statement on the top of the second page. That was approved by President Valderas.
Okay,
And then on section 4, put the city shall discuss. And I therefore move to accept it with those changes.
I'll second.
okay, thank you. It's been a motion made by Commissioner Hill and seconded by Commissioner Archuleta. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, and I'll give these changes. Thank you for
Thank you.
your time.
Thank you.
So the next thing is, okay, now we have to move to present it to the city council, the
Okay.
governing body. So,
Let me make the motion to present it to the city council, our governing body, for approval.
I'll second that.
okay, a motion has been made by Commissioner Behill to present the amended resolution. Can you say that? The amended
Yes,
resolution.
the amended
To
resolution.
the governing body, and seconded by Commissioner Archuleta. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. So what we'll just need after this is to know when it's going to be on the agenda. And maybe the 24th or the 18th, I don't know. There's
And
two.
I would definitely love to be at the city.
You will
council.
present it. I'll be there, but you're going to present it.
Okay, well,
Councilor Salazar.
Okay, and then we have a comment by Commissioner Salazar Torres. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a question. Will this go to council as a discussion item, presentation, or will it go down as an action item asking us to do action?
What is your recommendation?
I would prefer that it be a discussion item first and then go back for a vote should it need be. That way, we respect the other counselors or the other members of the governing body to see if they have any changes or, et cetera, that they suggest.
Right, so then we would ask to be put on the agenda as a discussion item, presentation by the ECDC Commission. Commissioner?
Yes.
And that a discussion item. Okay, so, and then would you then have, under that an action item then to follow, or would that be at a different meeting?
No, we could just ask the mayor and city clerk to then therefore bring it to our
Okay.
next city council meeting as an action item. If, everybody's in concurrence, I just want to make sure that, as a
Discussion
liaison for
first.
the governing body, and Councilor Benavides can chime in on this if she'd like, but I want to get input from the other members of the governing body. before we just take action on something they have yet to review.
Yes,
I agree.
And so, I'm sorry, go ahead, Commissioner Benavides.
I'm sorry, Chair. I agree. And it's a great opportunity for the counselors who haven't met or aren't aware of the commission to find out who we are and what we do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask Director Baker to, she'll be making the changes and then to work with the agenda, see when we can get it on the agenda with working with the city clerk. Because I have another thing coming up with the commissioner. She told me next week would be the latest for the 28th. There is a meeting Tuesday, but it's too late to send anything in.
Yes,
So we'd have to probably have it on the last meeting in March,
the 28th.
the 28th. So if you can work towards that, if not, we'll do it in April, but we need to get it done.
So if I could add a statement from what I'm hearing of the rumblings at Northern is President Balderas is probably coming back in another week or two from the legislative session and probably looking at April to really hit the ground running with a lot of initiatives. So
Right.
this times well if if my rumblings that I'm hearing are correct.
Right. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we have the next regular meeting, April 12th, item 10. And then I had originally had not put a workshop, but I would like Director Baker to talk about this workshop because that would be the 26th. And we could also, remember we talked about that workshop, I'm not sure if that was a good timing for what we want to do. So tell us about this training. How is that different? Because you're asking us to go to the May 3rd and 5th. Then you're asking us on the 26th to have a workshop. So I think that's a little heavy for us volunteers.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, I would like to thank your chair, Joanne Salazar. I was on the mat, couldn't even breathe, and she took the initiative and the lead on this agenda. And she emailed it to me. I looked at it, and then I took the liberty to amend the agenda, and I included this workshop. So, and I apologize to Ms. Salazar for that. This workshop, we can do it some other time.
How is this different from the one on?
Now, the one that we're gonna go to in May, that's by the New Mexico Municipal League.
But do they differ, you think, in material?
I don't know, that's, this one, the one that I'm proposing is a webinar. Everything would be online. We would sit here and watch it. It's a training by the APA, the American Planning Association. And this is something that the Planning Commission has started also. So they've already started this training program. And they are also going to the Municipal League training in May. But I just wanted to share that with you, and you're not gonna hurt my feelings if we don't have it on the 26th. I'm fine with that.
Well, I don't know legally how we can say we're going to change it, but I mean, I don't think that's a good time because 26 is so close to May 3rd.
Yes.
And we all volunteer. And we all, so it's difficult to say I'm gonna spend, whatever night and then in a few days you have to go.
It's a bit overkill.
It's a little bit of overkill for timing, so if any of the commissioners can help us, I guess I'm just gonna say, we're not gonna have a workshop, or we'll look at the date, and I don't think we're violating any.
Yeah, it's
I'm okay with that.
right there by May the 3rd.
Is that Commissioner Torres Salazar?
Yes, I just said I'm okay with whatever you decide, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Just keep in mind that, Councilor Benavides and myself were part of other committees and have other council meetings and so forth to go forth, so.
Yeah, what I think would be good now that you bring that up, Commissioner, is for Lou to set out, give us a couple of dates in the workshop, because we did have a workshop last month, and I don't want to have workshops just for the sake of having workshops, unless they're really pertinent. So since we have this training up, if you could, after or even before the May 3rd, give us, we're then talking about workshops for this commission, the last Wednesday, right? Or last Wednesday. So we'd either be meeting in May or June. And I would say let's probably do a workshop in June.
That's
We're
right.
gonna have this, and then that's plus our meeting if we still have a meeting.
Yeah.
So I would say we go to June and then see if that's still gonna be feasible. So if you put it on the agenda, when we do it on the agenda in June, we have to give some proposed dates.
Okay.
Okay, so we can decide. Okay, thank you. So any other comments? I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn if there are none. Thank you, everyone, for
night.
your participation and expertise. Good night. We
Good night.
adjourn at 8:15.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I
This is
have
what
my
I had
thing
done.
done, Franny, for you